Hi guys, it's Andrew here from Eastimate today, and welcome back to the Eastimate channel. I'm out here with our 48C firewood processor here, and I'm going to try and answer a couple of questions for people. The one big question that Jeremy's been getting a lot from people that are calling is what spare parts do I need and what maintenance there is on one of these firewood processors. Because if you're going to buy one of these machines, you're going to be buying a processor of this size, of this scale, you want to make sure that it's going to be running. Because if it's not running, that's not good. You want to make sure that it is running and running well for you. So that's what I'm going to touch on today, on the things that we've seen fail, and the things that kind of wear out. So stuff that you may want to consider having around. And honestly guys, there's not a whole lot to go wrong with one of these machines now. Like, we had a few bugs to work out when we first started building these machines, obviously with any new machine, but I think we've got everything pretty well ironed out here now. And if you buy one of these machines, you're going to be buying the best processor in the industry. I'm pretty confident in that anyways. So with this, the big question we get asked a lot is the blade. That is obviously a big ticket item. If you don't have a saw or a blade on a firewood processor, you haven't got a firewood processor. What these blades have is a insert in the tooth. So that tooth there actually silver solders on. The new ones come pre-tinned. A lot of the times if they come off and you run them a lot, it'll actually wreck the shank. The teeth aren't very expensive. They're maybe $4 or $5 at that. And then you can see the shank is actually just riveted on, and it's peened one side or the other. So what I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna leave a link up here somewhere, and I'll drop it down in the comments too, to Skidder Kev's channel. Skidder Kev has a couple of good videos. I'll put the link to the videos up there of changing these. There's a couple other guys that have videos of doing this, and they're fairly simple and easy to do. Like in terms of this over a chainsaw, this is far less maintenance. They just go up and down. The only time you'd ever change them is if you hit something hard. If you hit a stone or a piece of steel or something in the block of wood or in the log, that's when you're gonna have to replace those teeth. Other than that, they don't really need to be sharpened. You can sharpen them. There's a couple of videos on that on YouTube. We don't. If they're all there, they normally cut pretty good. There's not really I don't think I've seen a huge advantage of doing it, but again, some guys have, so it's a matter of opinion on that. But for the most part, the teeth will last until you hit something and wreck them, and then to change them is fairly simple. In terms of a full blade, you're gonna get an awful pile of hours out of one before you got a hammer, and it's not normally one of those things that you would have to keep on hand. Normally you may send it out to get it hammered. They're normally dished. They're a little concave, so when they spin up, they actually come back straight again, or fairly close to it, and that's what keeps them spinning true. When they go past that, you really know it's got an awful wild one. You can even might even be able to show it to you here. See if I can get up there. Oh, I can't pull it. The 60s you can't. The 60s you can pull the saw out of its dish either way, and if you run it like that, you know it, because it's pretty odd looking anyways. So the next thing would probably be these proximity sensors down here. On the Eastimate, I think we've only ever sent a couple of these out. On the Bell's machines, we sent more of them out, because that beam was actually underneath the infeed, so you had a lot of scrap and stuff coming off it. And as you can see here, there's actually a plate that comes up and covers them. So it's a lot better setup. Like, there's not too many instances where you'd actually need one, but to have one there, they're not very expensive, and it's going to be one of those things. If it goes down, you can still run the machine manually with the trigger, but for, I don't know, maybe $100 or $150, you'd have one there, and you keep running. The next thing you might want to consider having is a set of bearings, or a bearing or two. These are just a standard UCFL 208 bearing. It's a standard 2-bolt flange bearing, 1.5-inch shaft. You can buy them anywhere. Same as the chain, the bolts, this chain here, like, we weld the teeth onto it, and like all this is all 81X. All this stuff is like standard stuff you get from any industrial supply, bearing supply store. It's all standard stuff. I'm not going to throw something on there that's funny that you can't get your hands on, or that's not going to be hopefully readily available. This being 2022, that readily available thing's a thing of the past for a lot of things, but most of it's common stuff that should be in stock. Next thing would probably be the radiator fan here. For the most part, these fans are in a location where you don't get a lot of dirt in them. If the wind's blowing the wrong way though, you're going to want to make sure you keep them cleaned out. Like, they will overheat if they're not cleaned out. A little bit of air, a pressure washer, whatever, cleans it out pretty good. These are actually really good compared to a lot of the processors out there. So this is in a good location. You shouldn't normally run into that. If the wind's blowing the wrong way, you may have that a little wee bit, but that will be about it. Up in here in the live deck, each one of the bearings has a grease fitting on them, so you're gonna have to grease them periodically, once a day. Couple of pumps, not a whole lot. You can see the bearings in here. Those are the same flange bearings. You see the grease fitting in here. If you put that pusher ahead, they're pretty easily accessible. Wear components for the pusher is another big one. We were running phenolic in these for a while, and it just wasn't. We run phenolic in the splitters, and it lasts a long time, like, no issues at all. But obviously the cycles that one of these processors does is significantly more than what a splitter would do. Like, normally what we've seen with these is guys were getting about 200 or 300 hours of phenolic before they needed a new set of them, and we didn't feel that was long enough. Some guys will get a lot more than that, some guys may not, but what we've done is they've all been replaced with brass top and the bottom, so it's a lot stronger, a lot heavier material, so it works really well. I think almost everybody that's got a processor now, I think Jeremy went ahead and sent them out brass. So if you haven't got the brass yet, give Jeremy a ring and he'll get you fixed up with it. I'm trying to think of things that go wrong. There's really not a whole lot. Fuel tank, you're going to want to fill that up because it sucks a lot of fuel. But for the most part, most people are going to be about a gallon of fuel per full quart of firewood, in and around that range. So when you look at fuel consumption on a processor, it's almost the exact same as a splitter and a chainsaw. Normally it is. Hydraulic filter, it has a gauge on it here, so you will know when it gets plugged up, and when it goes up into the rad it's plugged up, you got to change the filter out. Normally we would recommend changing a new filter out anyways. After about 20 or 30 hours, probably a good idea to just go ahead and change anyways, just in case if there's any dirt and debris from manufacturing left in there. It would be good to get it out of there. Yeah guys, that's probably about it. I guess the only other thing for like maintenance to get done would be like lubing up these rollers probably daily, like bar oil, anything along those lines would keep them lubed up all right. Again, you'll tell when they need some lube because they'll start squeaking a wee bit, and put some lube on them and the squeaking will go away. Hopefully you put the lube on before they start squeaking. Obviously if they are squeaking, it is already steel on steel, there's no lubrication in there, so just make sure that if you do have one of these machines, you are putting a little bit of oil on that chain periodically. Other than that guys, there's not, other than the bearings, like you can see the saw bearings, they each have a grease fitting on them. There's bearings on this side of the infeed too that need some grease in them, and in standard diesel engine maintenance, 500 hours, change oil sort of thing, and keep the rag clean again as with anything else. But for the most part, there's really not a whole lot of maintenance or stuff that really wears out, or stuff that you'd really need to keep a lot of around. Like I said, you got the limit switches, teeth for the saw blade, obviously that's going to be a big one. But other than that, as long as you're doing daily maintenance, greasing stuff and just checking stuff over, that's probably the biggest thing you will do with one of these machines, is just checking nuts and bolts and general walk around kind of stuff in the morning, checking to make sure nothing's loose or hanging or grabbing on anything. That's gonna be the big thing with it guys. And again, it's the same as any other piece of equipment in that respect. Anyways guys, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. drop a comment down below. I'll answer whatever questions you have or do my very best to do so. I appreciate everybody's support. It means the world to us here at Easton Made. It really does, guys. If you haven't done so, subscribe. Really hope to see you on the next one, guys. Take care.